All right. Well, good afternoon, and I hope everybody is doing well. And good day on whatever day that you are going to be watching this video. So, what I wanted to do in the video is to talk to you and get you ready for the case management class and to start having you think about what case management is. So, just simply, what we're going to start off with here in this first video, before we sort of dive into the class and all of the reading material, is really just a basic understanding of what the definition is. Now, case management is a system where somebody, it could be you in your role as a human service worker, it could be you in trying to organize some sort of system or series of care for your kids, your parents, yourself, to sort of bringing about a diverse group of services that are out there to be organized around what your needs are. So case management, sometimes referred to in the developmental disabilities world as service coordination, sometimes referred to as someone functioning as what is called a broker, is really simply trying to understand what it is somebody needs in support of their life to be able to function and to how to bring those services and supports to the individual so that they are organized and lined up to support that person. So that can mean a lot of different things depending on what the person needs. But what you are doing is you're working in what we would refer to as a fragmented system, a system when there are organizations that are governmental, there are organizations that are private, not-for-profit, there are individuals who need services, and you're trying to bring them together in an organized way so they are supporting the person. So I'll give you a kind of a real life example from my own life. I am a caretaker for my elderly mother. My wife and I are. We share that responsibility, and we function as her case manager. So we monitor her doctor's appointments, we monitor her medication, we connect with her doctor and organize the care based on what the doctor is saying. We have someone come into the house and clean for her, so do some basic cleaning. We are trying to organize respite services to get funds and grants to be able to pay for certain things. We're exploring what the options are so that as she gets older, she'll continue to be able to remain in a home setting. And so we're organizing those systems in the home setting. So at a very, very basic level, we are functioning as her case manager in this situation. And that is really what a case manager does, or a service coordinator. It looks out into a fragmented system and works to bring supports to bear to assist that individual in doing that. And that is what we are going to be looking at in this class as a whole. The other piece, or another piece, that we are looking at for the person is kind of a philosophy. Is it we that are doing it, or are we doing it in conjunction with, or are we letting the individual who we are providing the services for kind of drive what their needs are? And in a pure sense, what we want to do is we want to empower the person to be able to share with us in some way, whether it's through conversation, it's through kind of our assessing their needs through some kind of formalized process to understand what it is, but to be able to understand what those services, those fragmented services that I discussed are, and what the needs are to achieve the outcomes that the person that we are case managing or coordinating services for that they want. So we want to take a very client-centered or person-centric approach. I think that's a better word, right? Person-centric. The person that we're providing the services for, we want to give them as much empowerment as they are able to manage. Now, this is going to vary based on the individual and their abilities. If you're working with someone who is severely cognitively impaired because of age, injury, intellectual disability, how you get at that is going to be different. And there may be other people around that person who you are working with as a whole to help and support that person. But regardless, our focus is empowerment and a person-centric approach. We always want to give as much empowerment, as much agency, if you will, to the person that we are providing services for. And that is also kind of the focus that we are looking at. Now, in the role, clearly, we are assessing, we are evaluating, we are planning, we are collaborating, we are working to make sure there is implementation, and we are monitoring those services that we are putting into play. And the services that we're talking about can vary based on what the needs of the person is, and also based on what your role is. So your role, depending on where you work, what you're doing, what your focus is, what your job is, may be different and may look different in terms of what the outcomes are that you have to get, and in terms of kind of what the mandate of the organization is. So that is certainly another thing that we are always looking at as we kind of move into case management. But the important point that I want to make here is we want to have it from the point of view of the individual being served. It is a person-centric approach. It is about empowering the person and providing services for that person to get their needs met so that the outcomes that they are looking for can be supported. And again, I want to emphasize this. It is a fragmented system. And so you have to be working with someone, and you have to be assertive in looking for what those services are. And you have to have and should always be thinking about what are the relationships that you are creating with the person you're providing the services for, that you are the case manager for, as well as your peers and other people in the system that you are trying to work with. So you are sort of, if you will, in the middle of this cog, working to make the system work to provide supports for somebody. It is a critically important role. And not only is it a critically important role, it is a role that is required, if you will, and by required, I mean, it is what makes the system work. Services are out there, people are in need of services, and there have to be people that bring all of those things together. So that's really the focus. And that's really the focus of what we're going to look at in this class. We will look at models of case management. We will look at some of the skills built into what you need to be good in this skill. We will look at kind of the components of it and all of those very important things. But at a base level, what we are doing is we are taking individual needs. We are looking at fragmented services, and we are trying to create a whole for the person, right? We're trying to put something together. So we, as case managers, you can look at yourself as a builder, a facilitator, a monitor, an evaluator. You play all of those roles. So it requires multiple roles. It requires good relationship skills at its core, and at the core of anything in this business, and maybe anything in the world. It is about the relationships that you create, the ability to listen and really hear. When we talk about being person-centric, it requires us to be able to be good at listening and understanding and communicating with others, the person you're serving, and people in the system who are providing those services. Those are the skills. Those are some of the things that you'll need. I shouldn't say those are the skills. There's lots of skills, and I don't want to sort of get caught off of that. So I think that's a good kind of way to introduce you and to have you think about the role that we are teaching you to play in this system. Very important and essential, and the system really does not work without people in this role. So that makes it really important. So hopefully that gives you a base and an understanding and a place to start, and we shall go from there.